So here we are then for the utter excitement that this is going to be Watkins Glen International. 11 corners, 3.4 miles, and action areas down at turn 1, and then of course at the bus stop, the inner loop, and then as you come round to the heel of the boot at turn number 8, just over the top of the brow. So plenty of opportunities in this 2 hours, Peter, to make some overtaking manoeuvres if you are brave. Sometimes you do have to slightly get your elbows out here.
You do. It's a very, very fast circuit here at Watkins Glen International, and for that reason, you don't have many parts of the circuit where you've got a big braking zone to try and make a move. So you might have to see a little bit more aggression out there, both in the GS and the TCR categories. And multi-class traffic is always a factor too, because TCRs are pretty, they can be pretty good on the brakes. They can be pretty quick in a straight line too. So the GT4s, the GS category cars, they actually need to really get a gallop on before they can start passing cars properly. So we'll see how that one plays out as we go through the course of the day. 2 hours on the clock, so it's a proper sprint. 40 minutes of minimum drive time. So the starting drivers, they will need to stay in for at least that amount, and if they don't, they'll need to jump back in the car later on. So that's what you've got to balance out. The GS cars, they've got 5 sets of Michelin S9M tyres over the course of the week, as do the TCRs, who have 4 sets.
Just one formation lap here. The car's going round behind the safety car, and we will come to green this time around. The TCRs can quite easily do an hour, so it should just be one stop, depending on if we get a safety car at the right time for the driver change. GS's here with it being a bit faster. That might be a bit tighter, Peter, but it's not beyond the bounds of possibility.
Yeah, looking at the, it's interesting when you look up and down the qualifying times. I mean, one of the 6th fastest car was a TCR car. So LP Montour with a 1:55.288. That's only 0.3 of a second off the pole time set in GS. So that's the fastest GS to the fastest TCR is almost nothing at all. Then you look there is more GSs in the top 8. There's 7 GSs and 1 TCR. I can't remember a time where the lap times have been so close between the 2 classes. So that's definitely going to play a factor in terms of multi-class traffic, but also for the TCRs at the front of the field, trying to get past the slower GS cars early on. That is going to be really, really tricky indeed. So the drivers out on their warm-up lap now, trying to generate some, generating heat in the tyres will not be such a problem today. Track temperature 43 degrees Celsius, 109 Fahrenheit, so it's really, really hot and slick and sticky.
It's 43 Celsius, that is. Wow, that is hot.
Yeah, that is very, very hot indeed. So particularly the TCR cars, front-wheel drive, of course, so their front tyres are going to take a real pounding today. And, on one side, that's obviously difficult, but on the other side, the rear tyres aren't going to be as difficult to get heat into, which sometimes can be a problem in cooler temperatures.
Very quietly in the background there, I heard Arjuna Kankapati with a BDO pit lane report. Go, Arjuna.
I see one of the TCR machines rolling down pit lane, and it's one of the silver Baker racing cars. So the 56, John, is going to have to now hurry its way around and start far behind the rest of the pack.
Yeah, thank you, Arjuna, showing in the pits, coming to a green flag. First opportunity to see these cars this weekend for Peter and I. Nobody has made any major livery livery changes, so waiting for the green flag to come up on the timing screens in front of us. The engine notes rise and the clock is about to start. It will be a split start, of course, with the TCRs, and the green is in the air as they go down to the first corner. Of course, when we go to starts and restarts as the TCRs come through, Peter, you mentioned the TCRs are going to be quicker, were 6th quickest, but they will have then the balance of the field between them they will have rather the balance of the GS cars, which are generally pretty much slower. So that is going to be a real problem on the start here and on the restart.
Even more so than normal. Yeah, even more so than normal for the leading TCR cars as the number 13 Macumbi-Macaleer Ford leads the way through into the opening part of the circuit, just coming through towards the outer loop at the moment. Very, very quick through there, you're really leaning on the left-hand side of the car, trying to get it balanced back up again for then the left-hander of the chute heading into the boot section. It's Jensen Altsman who's taken the start for that Macumbi-Macaleer crew. One of the Ford Performance Junior team drivers who were at Le Mans last week, taking part in the Mustang Challenge Invitational. A great event. If you haven't seen it, you can get it on the IMSA YouTube channel. It was really,
performance as well, yeah.
Yes, and indeed for performance, exactly.
So Jensen Altsman on the track, they're still showing Laz leading, coming down to turn number 8 at the moment, with the rest of the field going through. Now into the left-hander. Nobody really breaking away at this early stage, as you might imagine. You've got to think, Peter, that the guys on the pit wall are telling their drivers to bring those tyres in carefully. You can't afford to use the Michelin rubber too much at this point.
No, you have to be super careful. And with these hot temperatures, I'm sure tyre performance and keeping the tyre in is going to be really, really tricky. Indeed, because with that high temperature the tyre can overheat, and then when it overheats it really doesn't work at its absolute best. So that is something where the drivers, and that could depend car to car as well, couldn't it? Because there's certain designs of car which are kinder on tyres than others. We've got so many different configurations of car here in the Michelin Pilot Challenge. The car leading at the moment is the big muscly front engine V8 from Ford, being chased by a also equally muscly Team TGM number 46 Aston Martin with a V8 up front as well, getting very close to Jensen Altsman here as they head up towards the bus stop. But then, conversely, you've got the mid-engined, quite diminutive 718 GT4 RS Cayman, driven at the moment by Luca Mars, a really impressive young driver who, of course, used to drive a Mustang, so he's taken a really big change. But each car has its own benefits and how it works out.
So early days here for the running, trying to keep you up to date with what's going on in the TCR. It's still LP Monto leading from Thelthorne Neto, Precision Racing. Now we've had a spinner. It is the blue and white Riley Pegram of Pegram Racing Hyundai Elantra. This is a blue and white car, which is now facing the wrong direction. Looks like that might be in the bus stop area. Yeah, looks like he went on his own. Difficult to say from what we've seen there.
Yeah, unfortunately, that could well pull out full course yellow as well, because that car is on the curbing at the bus stop chicane, which is installed in 1992 to try and control speeds at a time where in IMSA, when the GTP category was at probably its most ferocious, actually, in terms of the development. We had the Nissan GTPs at that point, the Intrepids, which had enormous downforce and huge power. So yeah, they've had to put in the bus stop chicane there to try and slow things down a little bit.
Hello to Dave Alcock at IMSA Radio, of course, as the full course caution comes out and the pits are closed.
So an early full course yellow then here after just 4 minutes and 30 seconds. That means it will be a short yellow. So what that means is the pits remain closed. So there's no opportunity to do any driver changes or anything like that. But not that it would necessarily be an advantage, because we have a 40-minute minimum driver time that has to be taken on board between the driver and their co-driver. So that is something that we've got to pay attention to, as the Hyundai's finally pulled away then from the curb at the bus stop chicane. So that's good. That's good news. And hopefully I might even get away with staying on the lead lap in category, actually.
Yeah.
Potentially. So that would certainly would be a win. So that bunches the field back up again, and will mean that Jensen Altsman will have it all to do again in that big Macambi McAleer Ford Mustang GT4. Championship leader Luca Mara sitting there in 3rd place. We'll be handing over to Jan Halen, who's driven superbly this season. He's had some great performances. The Daytona didn't quite get the win, but drove very, very well, chasing down Michael Cooper in the Ibiza Farm McLaren.
And it was Megan Tomlinson for Precision Racing, the other car involved. That's being looked at by race control at the moment. So just under an hour and 54 minutes still to go. Short yellow just means the pit's don't open, as Peter said. That's because we're in the first 15 minutes of the race. So not much change at the front. Jensen Holtzman, could be McAleer Racing Ford, Mustang Ford, TGM Aston Martin. Then the RS1 Porsche in 3rd. Then Sean McAllister, Car Barmouth Peregrine in 4th. Ford, Aston, Porsche, BMW, Toyota. That is a move up for Pan Am Motorsport, Kyle Chavez. Then McLaren, 6 different manufacturers in the top 6. Then another BMW. After the Ibiza Farm Motorsports Magna, it's Turner Motorsports BMW. Then a Mercedes, so that's what, 6 in the top 7, or 7 in the top 8 different manufacturers. The IMSA technical team are doing their job. In TCR, LP Monto has managed to put himself a couple of cars between himself and the rest of the TCR field, but I presume there will, well actually there's a pass around going on at the moment, which I wasn't expecting this early on. That's anybody who is between the safety car and their class leader.
So that potentially be the 72.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, the Hyundai that was on, that caused this full course yellow, it will have to come back round to the back of its class train. The safety car is pulled away, so we'll be ready to go back racing again. Fantastic effort from the Watkins Glen International team, who've had a very busy day. We had a pretty eventful Carrera Cup North America race earlier on.
No spoilers there, but you will be able to see that on the IMSA YouTube channel. LP Monto for MMG is now, of course, going to get put back behind all of the GS cars that he's passed. So we're waiting to see if Ted Giovannis gets waved through, and Rafa Martinez, Christine Sloss, and those 3. In fact, no, Sean Quinlan and Phil Fair as well will also get waved through. Not a split start as such, but all the GS cars go ahead of all the TCR cars. So Jensen Holtzman becomes the de facto safety car in the Mustang GT4 as soon as we see the blue and white Corvette pull away. Paul Holton will want to stay right on the tail. We saw a number of different tactics being employed earlier on today, Peter, about where you push the go button coming back to green. As early as coming through the penultimate corner, right in the middle of the penultimate corner, in the short straight between 10 and 11, or right in the middle of 11. I don't think you want to cruise up to the line, to be honest, and then hope that you can out-sprint people down to the first corner.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's the way to do it. Let's see how Jensen Holtzman does here.
Comes through the final corner. Again, we hear the revs rise, which lets us know the cars are on the front straight and heading down towards the first corner. Holtzman with a good restart in behind Paul Holton, and then Luca Mars in the red, white and black RS1 machine through turn 1 and heading up through the S's. Top 5 have broken away down to the Pan Am Motorsport black and orange striped GR Supra. Behind that, it's Wojciech Retsky in the McLaren. Easy spot, that one, with all the multicolours on. So it is going to be a penalty for Megan Tomlinson in the Precision Racing LA Audi for spinning around Riley Pegram. He didn't actually get all the way back onto the back of the field. He's just coming through turn 9 now, and the leaders are coming down into turn 6, heading into the boot. And there's a change of lead. Through has gone Paul Holton.
Yeah, amazing move there from Paul Holton to get through, and quite a bit of a surprise there from Jensen Altsman to, I would have thought the Mustang with its qualifying pace might have beginning to pull away, but that Team TGM Aston really, really strong there to get moving. And now actually Altsman under pressure from the RS1 Porsche of Luca Mars. It's Aston Martin that leads at the Glen. They've had a lot of success in the GTD Pro and indeed GTD categories in the past. So this is in the IMSA WeatherTech Championship. So is it an Aston Martin weekend? Well, we shall see. Certainly been the order of things in the past. So an hour and 48 minutes, and now back to green flag racing after just a very short stint behind the safety car. Paul Holton now getting down to business. He's already opened up a gap of just over a second to Jensen Altsman in the blue Ford Mustang. Then another just under half a second back, it's Luca Mars for the RS1 Porsche. Then another 8/10 back, it's Chao Chavez for Pan Am Motorsport with the Toyota GR Super GT4 Evo. Then a pair of BMWs, Carban with Pellegrin, Sean McAllister, and Dylan McAvern in the second place in the championship, Turner Motorsport BMW.
Live from the Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre, Michelin Pilot Challenge. And BDO Pit Lane reports this weekend from Dana Binks and Arjuna Kankapadi. We'll hear from them in a little while. Already a penalty warning for multiple track limits. That's very early on in the piece here. And I think that was the number 19 car that I saw ping through. And that would mean it was Sean Crumlin in the Ford Mustang of Stephen Cameron Racing.
So in TCR, then the MMG Montreal Motorsports Group Honda Civic Type R is leading the way. 157 flats, best lap so far in that category, and has a couple of GS cars between them and the second place car in TCR. It's actually a trio of Audis. The first Hyundai is Parker Chase in 5th place in TCR. Now we've seen a complete domination of the Brian Herder Autosport Hyundais all season long, winning the opening 4 races of the season. They've been totally dominant, but it's a completely different order of things here at Watkins Glen.
Take a BDO Pit Lane report, Diana Binks.
The number 37 came through the pit lane, as we talked about earlier, but no other cars down here in the pit lane yet. The teams are just sort of waiting for the first of the drivers to come in, which won't be for some time yet. So pretty quiet in the pit lane so far. All the teams are obviously on alert, ready, waiting for that to happen.
Car number 37 is the Megan Thompson car. That is the drive-through penalty for the Audi driver for that contact earlier on. So Di just letting it know that she has come in and served that penalty. He's still just ahead of the car that they had the contact with. The Audi coming down into turn 1 now, the number 72 Hyundai coming through out of the boot section at turn 9. Meantime, the leaders into the toe of the boot at turn number 7. It's still Paul Holton that leads, from Jensen Altsman hanging on there in second with 1.1 seconds. Luca Mars in third, another half a second further back. Chao Chavez for Pan Am Motorsport in the Toyota Supra, 1.3 seconds behind. He's under pressure now by Sean McAllister right on his rear bumper in the grey and bright green BMW. Turner Motorsport, Dylan McAvern in there as well. So those three fighting for 4th, 5th and 6th position. Bryce Ward in behind Moise Uretsky. They're not that far away either. Bryce having another good opening stanza in that Mercedes AMG GT4 for Winward Racing. Was very hard on himself when he made a mistake in the 4-hour race last time out, but they're still wrung out. result in that car. Fastest lap of the race, Paul Holton's just gone through 1:56.354 in these hot conditions, Peter.
And a brilliant start for Team TGM, the real stalwarts of this championship, and for them they need a big result now, because they've, in the opening 4 rounds, it hasn't really gone their way. They're not in the top 10 in the championship, so they really need this result, and they're going about it exactly the right way. Paul Holton opening up that gap, as you mentioned, 1.5 seconds now to Jensen Altsman, who still has Luca Mars in the 718 Cayman GT4 RS Porsche right on his tail.
Video pit lane report, Dynapinks.
Still quite quiet down here in the pit lane, John. No cars have come in to have either a driver change or anything as yet. They're still just quietly going round and round. As you quite rightly said, there was a penalty for the 37 that they took a little bit earlier. They just drove through and back out onto the track. But here, waiting patiently, drivers are getting ready, watching the screens, watching those times, just getting ready to jump into action when they need to.
Thank you, Di, for that BDO pit lane report. We've also got Arjuna Kankapati down in the lane, keeping an eye on things. And in the Michelin Pilot Challenge, the pit work is so important, because you just don't know when the full course yellow is going to come out, and when you time that, and getting a good pit stop in and out is so important. So Dana and Arjuna will be our eyes and indeed ears in the pit lane throughout the next hour and 43 minutes of this Michelin Pilot Challenge race. The LB Building Solutions 120.
I know why you went there, though.
Yes, exactly. The which was at Sebring, the Alan J Automotive 120. It's the LB Building Solutions 120.
Just watching the timing screens at the moment. LP Monto has taken off, by the way, in TCR, up to 15th overall. Just got past Frank Tapu for Rebel Rock Racing, 56.5 for that best of the TCR class. That's against a 56.3 for the fastest GT4 GS lap. He's the second quickest car on the track at the moment in that TCR. LP Monto in a rich vein of form at the moment, Peter.
Amazing. That Honda is flying. It's, you know, the Honda Civic FL5 TCR has had its issues. You know, it didn't come out the blocks very well. It's developed by an amazing touring car manufacturer, Jazz, who created a lot of the best touring cars that have ever raced. But they just haven't been able to dial it in lots of different TCR championships. But now it seems to be really finding its own here, particularly at Watkins Glen. Nothing wrong with the power of it. You need power here at Watkins Glen. It's so fast. And once 56.8, that's quite amazing. In fact, the LP Montour in Sector 3, which is from the toe of the boot all the way around to the end of the lap, is the fastest car of anybody through that sector. Quite remarkable. Gives you an idea just how strong that machine is and how close it is to a full GT4 spec machinery.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. And it's a vagary of certain tracks, isn't it, Peter, where the corners, the TCR cars are very good around the corners. The whole body is effectively an aerodynamic device. We used to see it at Lime Rock Park, where quite often you'd get a TCR car right up there amongst the times. We haven't seen it here quite as much, but LP is adding to that. I should say that he's about 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds quicker than the next best TCR car out there. So, I mean, there's an LP and a Honda quotient in this, but even so, that is outstanding stuff. And he's just passed Nikita Lastuskin, and he's now up into 14th position, 58.7 last time around in traffic. So that's roughly the same as the cars around him.
Problem for the JDC Miller Porsche of Chris Miller. It's just had a little moment on the opening corner, and is now in the throes of the TCR field, trying to recover from that. It's not been an easy season for the JDC Miller Porsche crew. They, of course, won the TCR Championship last year in an Audi. They've progressed up to the GS category in the Porsche this year, but it hasn't quite been as smooth sailing, unfortunately, for a variety of reasons, unfortunately. already, bear in mind, we're very early into this race. We're only 20 minutes into this race. The car number 71, which is one of our GS machines, I'm pretty sure. The car number 71 of, Robin Liddell and Frank Depew, driven by Frank Depew at the moment, has been given a final warning for track limits already. Wow.
That's 20 minutes in. He's only halfway through his stint. Hearing that Dylan McAvern as well has a stress fracture in his left foot. Foot injuries have cost the Iron Dames from tomorrow's race. We'll have the qualifying session coming up for IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. You'll be able to watch and listen to that whether you're here in the US or further afield. Very, very painful to brake here. He brakes with his left foot, and you have to be on the brakes pretty hard here. He's been alternating braking with left and right foot. The thing is, if you've got used to left foot braking and the way the car is set up for it, it's actually quite hard to go back to right foot braking. It doesn't suit everybody to left foot brake, but if you can do it, you can make up time. You'll use a little bit more fuel because there's an inevitable crossover between the two, unless you're not very aggressive, and then you're not going to get the time out of it.
So a little bit more colour on the incident between the number 17 JDC Porsche that had an incident with the number 4 Carban BMW. The number 4 Carban BMW has been given a drive-through penalty for incident responsibility. That is the quick, race control, they always take a look at things, but that is as quick as you'll ever see them make a decision, which means it was a slam dunk decision, so we say. So that is a drive-through penalty for the number 4 Carban BMW.
And that Carban BMW has just driven through the pit lane as you were talking.
Radio on the socials. Hello to Right Turn Lover in the middle of Europe, to Dave Alcock. You can help us out if you see anything interesting. We're relying on the timing screens here at the moment.
So that's 30 seconds pit lane transfer time for the Bill Kane driven Carban BMW. That is effectively the penalty, of course, plus the coming in and out of the pit lane. So a significant penalty if you do cause an incident. Moisey Oretsky for Ibiza Farm Motorsports, and that beautiful McLaren Artura number 44, qualified in 7th, running in 7th at the moment. That machine, which won at Daytona, and that was one of the real cracking races at Daytona, the 4-hour race at Daytona. It was right into the sunset, wonderful.
Just behind them, Austin Krantz, just behind Moisey, Austin Krantz has caught Bryce Ward and was having a little scrap with him. That was for 8th and 9th. Rumored Racing AMG and BMW M4, the Auto Technic racing car, just half a second between them, then another 3.5 back to Gordon Scully, who's got Bob McCallion about another second further back. Then it's LP Montour leading TCR. He's up into the top 12.
Amazing, proper giant killing stuff. TCR against the world here for Montreal Motorsports. They'll be delighted with the pace that LP Montour is putting in at the moment. Fantastic stuff there from that crew. Really quick, 1:56.8 is their best lap time, and trying to fight their way up the order. Windward Racing sitting in 8th too with their number 57. Mercedes hit with quite a big balance of performance change, extra weight added before the race, but it doesn't seem to be holding Bryce Ward back, the man with his, or certainly part of his name above the door. Windward Racing, Bryce Ward. He's the man who puts that all together, that amazing program that has raced in DTM for several years, but also a real force of nature in the GTD category in the IMSA WeatherTech Championship as well. Fantastic to see Bryce there. His son Russell races in the GTD car, and he says, I'm not going to watch from the sidelines, I'm going to get involved in the Michelin Pilot Challenge, sharing with Daniel Morad. From what we understand from Daniel Morad, who told us a few races ago within the pits, saying that Bryce is working super hard in between the races on the sim. He's got the iRacing up on the sim and is working very very hard on it to improve that pace, and it's working right now. He's running last lap by just over a second away from the leaders. He's running around a second off the leading pace set by Paul Holton, which is a very red hot pace at the moment because he's opened the gap to 1.4 seconds from Jenson Altzman, who actually in turn has managed to get a bit of gap to Luca Mars behind him. The gap is now up to 1.3 seconds to the RS1 Porsche driver. The championship leaders, of course, don't forget. The personal best in 4th place for the Toyota GR Supra GT4 Evo of Pan Am Motorsport, João Chavez, with Sean McAllister rounding out the top 5 at the moment, with Carban with Pelican Racing right on his tail, actually. McAllister right on the back of Chavez in the BMW. Dylan McIvern with that stress fractured foot. That sounds really awful. Really awful, yeah, because these cars, they have ABS as well, so you have to smash the pedal as hard as you possibly can. If it was a non-ABS car, it actually wouldn't potentially be as bad, because you'd be a little bit more delicate. But the ABS, you're bang, you're having to really get on, and a lot of the engineers talked about the initial
pedal pressure
push. You know, they talk a lot. Engineers talk a lot about drivers' brake pressure and how much they can put through the pedal, and that's really, really tricky. And you know, in a road car, I would always brake with my right foot, but in a on the simulator and the go-kart, brake with left foot. But it's trying to do the opposite in either car would be strange. Imagine that. Don't try this. Do not try this in your road car. If you did use your left foot, you would know about it. It's not got exactly the same calibration, if you like, as your right foot.
So we are just on 27 minutes in, and we'll give you a quick rundown of what's going on. LP Montour, the man of the moment, finding his way through the field, and in 12th position, leading TCR from Luke Rumberg now in the Audi. Precision Racing's Felthor Neto in the 31 is second, is third rather, and Sam Baker in the other Audi in 4th position. So that trio of Audis, we need 4 really, don't we, for the 4 rings for those cars. Dennis Parker Chase down in 20th for Hyundai, and Eric Powell for Victor Gonzalez Racing Team. Now, there's big gaps. There are big gaps between those cars because they're coming through the GS field. So the first of the TSR is now 12th overall. And bear in mind, we started 22 GS machines. Actually, we started 21. I realise now why Bob McKinley was listed at the back of the field, because he was listed in 2 cars, which obviously wasn't going to happen. Fine. Now that makes sense for me. So there's we started 21 GS cars, and the best of the TCRs is up in 12th. Second in 14th, then 15th and 16th, then 19th and 20th. So as you can see, the TCR cars are getting right amongst it at the moment. At the front of the field, Paul Holton, for this race, has pulled out a bit of a gap. He's got 1.5 seconds in the Team TGM Aston Martin Vantage. That's one of the Evo cars. Ahead of the pole-sitting Macumbi McAleer Racing Ford Mustang. Jensen Oldsman, one of the drivers who was at the Le Mans Invitational. When was that? Last weekend only. Of course, it seems a lifetime ago. He's got 1.3 seconds on the RS1 Porsche of Luca Mars. And then behind Luca, it's Caio Chavez, Sean McAllister and Dylan McIvern. The top 6 separated by 6.5 seconds, but Wojciechowski just put his fastest lap in that McLaren Artura, and he's coming through to try and challenge the top 6. Further down the field, a battle going on with Phil Fair for CSM in the red, white and black Porsche. Who's he got behind him? That's the Unitronics number 17 of Chris Miller, and Sean Quinlan in the Stephen Cameron Racing orange and purple Ford. That little trio, as I say, battling for 15th, 16th and 17th. But because of the rapid TCRs, they are outside the top 20.
So the track temperature is still climbing. I mean, bear in mind, we're not even at midday yet. We're at 11:15 local time. Quarter past 12 local time. 12:15 local time. So yeah, it's really, really hot at the moment. 113 Fahrenheit on the track, and that's 45 Celsius. So I mean, really, really hot track conditions. So it's going to make the tyre really difficult to drive on.
However, at this time of the year, that is not midday. It's not necessarily where the sun is at its highest, although it must be pretty close. Looking at the shadows on the cars, they are pretty much directly underneath the cars. Leader coming to turn 8 then, with that almost 2-second lead now and clear track ahead of him, the next car going down into turn 1, so plenty of opportunity for Paul Holton to get his foot down if he wants to, turning very consistent laps in the mid to high 156 range at the moment. He's done a 56.3, that was the fastest lap of the race. LP Montour with a 56.8, only half a second slower. That is extraordinary, and he at the moment is running the same times as Bob Michaelian in the Core Motorsports Ford Mustang, so Bob not pulling away. Opportunity for a pass by the number 17 of that little battle we were talking about, Chris Miller, going over the brow to turn 8. Wait to see them come out of turn 8 and see if the pass has been made. It looks like Sean Quinlan is sitting right in behind the red, white and black Porsche as well. Yes, the pass was made. As we catch sight of them again going through turn number 9. So a change of position there, and Unitronics goes up 1 spot. And that is now in new 21st position and 15th in class.
Yeah, they're on the recovery drive after that incident with the number 4, which was immediately handed out. That's the Carbahn BMW, which was immediately handed out a drive-through penalty, as quick as you will ever see a penalty handed out. And Chris Miller getting on the move now. Luke Grumberg is really on the push now, up into 2nd in TCR in his Audi. You mentioned a trio of Audis. If we had 4, would that be a quattro of Audis?
It would indeed,
yes,
Peter, well done.
So that's the number 31 that qualified 6th in category and now up into 2nd. Luke Grumberg sharing with Jaden Conwright, who we've seen race in the IMSA WeatherTech Championship in the past. So great to see Jaden here competing in Michelin Pilot Challenge as well. So driving that Audi TCR front, it's not a quattro, it's front wheel drive. If it is quattro, then scrutineering might have something to say about it.
The drive shafts might be a giveaway in fairness.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, good to see Jaden here, who's won races in various different championships, including Formula 3 in Asia as well. So it's quite a diverse skill set from his experience. Now we're getting very close to the minimum driver time elapsing with 32 minutes on the, if I make it just turn 33 minutes, so 7 minutes left before the teams could bring in their starting driver with the driver time completed. So that would mean then that you have to then make the decision: do you wait for a full course yellow, or do you make the pit stop straight at the first opportunity and get your other driver in? That is all part of the strategy. We've seen so many teams that have been in this championship for so many years that just seem to know when to play the card and know how to roll the dice at the right point. I mean, Rebel Rock Racing would be one that I would put forward. They always just seem to be able to pull victories out of the hat with some strategical mastery. With their now Aston Martin used to run the Chevy Camaro, a much missed GT4 machine.
Yeah, primarily from Stevenson Motorsport, and then from Rebel Rock. Robin Liddell instrumental in pulling that whole thing together. Question from Dave Alcock saying, I know we have stringent regs regarding cabin temperatures in GTP and GT3 and IMSA. Are similar regs for AC and cool suits in place for GT4 and TCR? I ask, as you mentioned, the high ambient temperatures. Quite a few GT4 cars have, even Cup cars have AC, whether it's standard or whether it's fitted afterwards. It's a matter for discussion. It's down to driver preference. I'm not sure there's any mandate in this series about the cabin temperatures.
Yeah, it's as far as I'm aware, I don't know if there's a rule that mandates it. But then it's a trade-off. If you do have that system, if you run it, you are going to lose a bit of engine power. So it's a trade-off. You know, if you're going to be doing a mega stint, though, especially in hot temperature, would you rather have it and give away a couple of horsepower? That is the question. That's why the physical training is so important for all the drivers in the field, whether they be a professional racing driver or indeed someone that races alongside their own professional career.
Hello to Thomas Pitts and the rest of you who might have just popped over to watch some Michelin Pilot Challenge racing from here at Watkins Glen, as there's a red flag at the Nürburgring Nordschleife for a circuit power failure. Very hot in that area of the world as well. So if you are just joining us, we are 36 minutes into the race, and Pan Am Motorsports Toyota has sneaked in.
Now that's before the minimum drive time though.
And Caio Chavez has stayed in. So with a bit of luck and a fair wind, one of our BTO pit lane reporters. Diana Binks is down there. Go ahead, Di.
I am, yes. I was just running down the other end. Pan Am Motorsport quite rightly said the Toyota GR Supra number 54 came in for a very quick pit stop, and so I've just come down this end to see if anyone got out of the car. Driver change? No.
Negative.
No, that's got away too quickly. They've run out the back actually there, but that's the first car that's been in the pit lane. But as we talk now, obviously the teams are getting ready. They've got tyres ready. Drivers are getting their helmets on, so expecting a flurry here in the pit lane any minute now.
Yeah, that I don't think that's a standard stop, Di. I think that might have been a puncture or some other problem for Caio Chavez, unless they've completely changed their strategy there, because he's a good 5 minutes away from the driver time. Fastest lap of the race put in by Sean McAllister in the 4th placed BMW M4. That's the car bomb with Peregrine number 39. So he's getting a wiggle on at the moment, and now the top 4 are all within 5 seconds. Then there's a 6-second gap to Dylan McAvern with his broken foot. I bet you that 40 minutes can't come around fast enough for him, Peter.
Quite an effort. I mean, to get in the car at all with a fractured foot. I've had a foot injury before, and it is horrible.
Oh, it's awful.
It's absolutely horrible. So to do that in a racing car at this speed is hugely commendable, and the heat as well. And that's where the heat will also, you'll notice it more, because you're tiring. You're having to lean on other parts of your body more than you would otherwise. Everything, all your muscles are working double time to kind of work around that injury. That is a really odd one for the Pan Am Motorsport Toyota coming in. That's very much off sequence for a GT4 car, unless you were doing a driver change, but of course then you need to wait until that minimum driver time of 40 minutes is elapsed, which is in only 2 minutes time. So Diana is absolutely right with her BDO pit lane report that the pit lane is likely to get very, very busy indeed in both categories, because of course the minimum driver times are the same whether you're in GS or TCR. So it depends which driver you've put in, because in general most of these teams have a mixed driver lineup where you've got one driver who's quicker than the other. So you want your quicker driver, of course, to do the maximum driver time allowed, which is 1 hour and 20 minutes. So we often, we see that across various parts where the top graded driver, if you like, they'll try and maximize that time in the car as much as they possibly can. But sometimes full course yellows fall at awkward times, and then the team have got to make a very much a judgment call. So we're now just under 60 seconds away now from the minimum driver time being complete for those drivers who are in the car at this moment. So stand by your posts in the pit lane.
Precision Racing Audi coming to the end of another lap in a little battle with that, as we said, the trio, the triple Audi. And they are now right up behind the Rebel Rock racing car. Problem for the Audis, they don't have the straight line speed to get past Frank, but the heavier GS car is not quite as nimble through the twisties. And the problem for the Audis then is that Parker Chase in the Hyundai Elantra, which is next up in 5th in class, is gaining on them hand over fist at the moment. And whilst he would have exactly the same problem getting past the Aston, he's got 3 Audis he can pick off first.
Yeah, that's so true, isn't it? The Audi's running really, really well this weekend, in the TCR category. So minimum driver time has now being completed for the cars that are every car that is out there on track at the moment. The minimum driver time is complete. So effectively, if you like, the pit window is open now, if you like.
Well,
the
for
pits are always open, but for
yes.
drivers, the driving pit window is open, so to speak.
But that would mean another pit stop before the end absolutely takes you out of a one-stop strategy for the GS.
Yeah, that is the question of how long do you go into that stint, and then, or do you roll the dice? And this is what I talk about, rolling the dice. Do you come in now, fill the car up, and hope that you get a full course yellow and that you don't have to pit again? But of course, that's a big risk. We've seen it work. We've seen it, really implode on certain teams. So that is what the engineers on the pit wall will all be trying to work out at the moment.
Change for second place as Thelfo Neto has gone by Luke Rumberg, still been behind Bob McKaylee, and Bryce Ward is the first of the top 10 GSs to jump into the pit lane, and Diana Binks is there with this BDO pit lane report.
Just waiting to receive the Autotechnic Racing BMW M4, the number 27, Austin Krantz and Stephen McAteer. They have come in. That's first driver change I can see now happening. They're just strapping the driver in, changing the tyres, obviously fueling and cleaning that windscreen so that they can get back out. But they were the first in that I greeted up here. I'm at the far end, the pit out end of the pit lane. Looking at the tyres, they look in reasonably good condition, but they are changing all the tyres. They had a slight delay on the front left, but they've got that tyre off now on this number 27 Autotechnic Racing car. There's a few more cars just behind me, so I'll make my way further up.
And we will get some words from the outgoing drivers. Our junior counterparty is down in the pit lane as well. What's going on at your end?
I'm watching the 96 Turner Motorsport, resplendent in white and orange with the Belhaven investment sponsorship for this weekend, rather than the traditional blue and yellow. A slightly slow stop as they got Matt Dalton out of the car and put Patrick Gallagher in, but all 4 Michelin tires have been changed. Full tank of fuel, and off and away Patrick Gallagher goes.
So these are drivers who have done their drive time, and they are not looking at the strategy at the moment. Diana Binks has one of the drivers with us.
I do. Autotechnic Racing, Austin Krantz has just jumped out of the car. Austin, first of all, how was the start?
Start was pretty good. I felt like I was able to stay with the lead pack. We pretty much all kept it clean, which is obviously great. More green racing, the better. So yeah, pretty stoked with my start.
What are the track conditions like now, and how are they evolving within the time you've been in the car?
One more time.
One more time. How are the track conditions now, and how have they evolved since you started?
Yeah, I mean, leading up to the weekend, it was pretty cool out. Today's definitely the hottest day out of the weekend. Definitely a lot greasier. I felt like the car was definitely understeering a little bit more than I anticipated. But I got my good friend Stephen McAteer in the car, and he'll do what he does, and hopefully we get a good result out of it.
How important is it for you to give your feedback to the engineers now while Stephen's in the car?
Well, at this point, Stephen just knows what to expect out of the car. Just like at Mid-Ohio, I told him the car was wicked. It was really hooked up. This time I said, hey, like, there's just a little bit more understeering, so he anticipates that and doesn't go off track, and we don't get a drive-through for track limits.
Thank you, Austin.
Thank you.
So into the pits as well for the number 71 Rebel Rock Racing crew. So Frank Depew will hop out. So the man from the borders in Scotland, Robin Liddell, will jump in. Proper stalwart of this championship. So many race wins under the belt.
Little bit of a fumble on the left rear, but I don't think it cost them too much time because the fuel was still going in there, Peter.
Well, we'll get a look on the pit stop times to see what the difference was in just a moment with the 71 crew.
I also noticed earlier on that the driver's door mirror was dangling down as well on that Rebel Rock Racing car. At least it is on the driver's side, the left-hand side.
They're not the Stephen McAleer driven Autotechnic crew. They were a little bit longer in the lane by 3 seconds, and there was a couple of crews a little bit quicker. In fact, yeah, Chow Chavez, it was quite a short pit stop, but that of course was out of sequence too. So very interesting indeed as the Turner Motorsport crew now go to work. Now, car number 95, of course, up there fighting for the championship. Dylan McIvern getting a rest with driver change going on there in the GS category. So it will be in that 95. It will be Francis Seldorf who now gives Dylan McIvern a well-earned rest, and I would think he'll be going straight for an ice pack now onto that fractured foot.
Yes, he's done very well there. Pit lane means once we get the pit lane pit stops, it does mean we start to get some penalties. And Team TGM, Ted Giovannis and Hugh Plum, pit lane speed limit, they'll get a drive through. The Turner Motorsport had one of the hoses come off, I could hear that in the background, and we'll take a BDO pit lane report. It's Dylan McIvern. After that opening stint with his bad left foot, is with Arjuna Kankapati.
A hose went flying, but Dylan McIvern gets out of the car. Dylan, it's hot, and I know you've been struggling with that foot. How are you feeling out of the car now?
Yeah, a little bit in pain, but the car was great. The Turner Motorsports guys always put a great package together for us. With my ailment, we wanted to get Francis the car as fast as possible, so we just had to get to the go-home point there. You know, it's my left leg that's hurting, but fortunately we can brake with the right, but I do give up a lot of performance there. You know, unable to balance the car, so I was just doing the best I could to stay relevant, so Francis had a good opportunity.
Is that, you say get to the end from here, no more stops expected? Is that what you're thinking? Because we've been wondering if you're going to have to make a splash and dash before the end.
I guess we'll find out.
Sounds like some cryptic words down here on pit lane. Thank you.
It's not going to give us any big clues there.
A great effort from Dylan McIvern. I mean, I think he's being modest, saying to stay relevant. Absolutely did keep that car in the game, and that sometimes you have to dig in when over the course of a year in a championship season. That is sometimes the drives that that make a championship, you know. And I think that's exactly what Dylan's done there at the wheel of that Turner Motorsport number 95, which is running the very original Turner Motorsports colours. Arjuna mentioned it, the blue and yellow. It's in the it was originally inspired by the Renault Lagunas, the Williams Racing Renault Lagunas of the British Touring Car Championship in the mid-90s, and Will Turner loved those colours, wanted to stand out to promote his parts business at that time, and that same colour scheme is put on the 95 car. I absolutely love it. It's a great little anecdote of the history of that storied BMW team, the most storied BMW team in terms of starts.
Yeah, Will Turner drove himself, of course, and now inextricably Turner Motorsport linked with the Munich brand. Just coming through to finish a lap, that leading car, Paul Holton for Team TGM then. The Aston Martin Vantage starting his 24th lap. And no sign of that car peeling off at the moment. So here's the difference, Peter. We are seeing at the front of the field, as Jensen Holtzman has just closed in on the leader, we are seeing at the front of the field the decisions being taken that as they didn't have a safety car around about the 40 minutes, they're going to leave their opening drivers in until they need to come in for fuel. That's what I'm reading from what's going on at the front of the field.
It would appear so, but while that's going on, Robin Liddell, the evergreen Robin Liddell, is at 1:56 flat, at the absolute best time of the race so far. Nobody is going anywhere near that pace on the racetrack at the moment, so Liddell pushing as hard as he possibly can. The Scotsman, who is, as you told me, John, a front-wheel drive French hatchback enthusiast, particularly of the Peugeot variety.
Yeah, Peugeot with the XU engine varieties, the 1.2s and 1.4s.
It's an obscure hobby.
He's got some quite. He had a lot more than he has now. He got rid of a few, but he had some quite unusual cars. Like there was a diesel. There was 1.9 diesel version, which was sort of like a GTI, but with a diesel. And there was a diesel cabriolet as well, which was quite unusual. Jensen Holtzman then, what's happened there?
So Jensen Holtzman is actually trying to keep Robin Liddell off the lead lap. Liddell absolutely flying at the moment, trying to get back onto that lead lap, and he has done well, and nearly done so. He's actually now got his fellow Aston Martin of Paul Holton, so Liddell, having pitted, has dropped off the lead lap and is right behind Paul Holton, who's leading the way now. Of course, those leading cars owe a pit stop, but as in the RS1, Porsche number 28 comes in, so that's Luca Mars, got a great stint there of 50 minutes, so that'll hand over to Jan Halen, and you can absolutely get home on that. An hour and 10 minutes to go. Definitely you can make a GS car go to the end of the race without having to stop. So if we stayed green, could this be the time to pit? Could this be the right call for the championship leaders who have been so consistent?
Yeah, they have been so consistent. And the pit stop goes on then for the championship leader. We'll go to Arjuna Kankapati in just a moment after we've heard this video pit lane report from Diana.
Beat the Farm Motorsports with the McLaren Artura GT4 has just come in. The number 44, Mosley Arskai and Michael Cooper, they are doing a driver change down here. They're busy now looking at the tyres. They're changing all 4 tyres on the car. Again, the tyres look in reasonable condition despite them being out there for this long. They're refueling as well. They're tidying up the windscreen before this car can get back out there. But a driver change here. I'll grab the driver in just a second.
In fact, that was also where Arjuna was. Our 2 video pit lane reporters finding themselves in the same part of the pit lane. Luca Mars leaves the pit lane. In fact, of course, it's Jan Halen now who'll take the car to the end of the race. Don't need to win here, Peter, but they'll want to get close to the front. They've had great consistency this year in that red, white and black Porsche.
They have, yeah. They've got 1 race win at Laguna, but it's more when they haven't won the results they've got, which is what's given them their points advantage. And for Jan Halen, it's been an up and down year for him on the racetrack. He's been successful leading the championship, but unfortunately had his house damaged in one of the was it the hurricane that in Florida that damaged his house, which is really, really terrible. And we wish his family well in recovering from that. But on the racetrack, he's been doing the business, and he's such an experienced competitor. Winner in the past at the Rolex 24 at Sebring, and is really bringing Luca Mars on as well, giving a lot of advice. And the pairing between them, it's really a dynamite pairing. Is into the pits then comes the number 13, McCumbee McAleer Racing with Aerosport Ford Mustang. This, of course, was your pole sitter. Jensen Altzman getting out, and Chad McCumbee getting in.
Not really any difference in pace nowadays between these two. Young Jensen Altzman being recognised by Ford, been driving with Sam Paley. And as that goes on, here the wheel guns going on the 5-stud wheel nuts. Diana Binks is caught up with the driver.
I'm still with the Beatha Farm Motorsports when the McLaren. Molsey's just jumped out of that. You did your first stint. First of all, how was the start?
The start was a little tough. I think there was a lot of dirt on the tracks. I think everybody had a lack of grip. And then right when we kind of got the grip going, then we had the caution. We got to refire the tires, but it was all right. So not too bad.
It looks like it's getting quite busy out there on track. How are you managing the traffic?
It's just hot. It's hot inside the car. I mean, luckily, if you're further up front, there's less traffic to manage, so we'll see what happens. The first half of the race was clean, but that doesn't mean anything about the second half, so we'll see.
We understand that obviously tyre management is quite crucial here with everything that's going on. How were you managing the tyres?
Well, the easy part is when they just tell you to push. That way you don't have to manage too much, so I think I had the easy part. I think Cooper's going to have the more difficult part now.
Is it a one-stop for you guys?
Who knows? I mean, we'll see. No one has any idea. We'll see what happens, but no clue.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes, definitely enjoyed it, but it's definitely the hottest day of the 3, so I would have preferred it to be the other way around, but it was definitely a lot of fun.
Great stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And another starting driver, Jensen Altzman with Arjuna Kankapati.
We talked on the
we go
grid
full
about
course
the heat.
yellow.
Jensen, you were just saying just how greasy it is as we go full course yellow. Reactions to the caution coming out?
Yeah, well, that's pretty nice. I think it did continue to get better, like as we thought. Once the tire did start to die off, I think I could maintain gaps pretty well. Paul's pretty quick, got out in front of me. But those last 5 or 6 laps there, for us at least, started to get pretty greasy. So Yeah, I mean, we'll see what that caution does. That kind of changes everything right now.
What do you tell to your teammate about the balance of the car? What was the notes for him to look for?
Yeah, we have to drive the car a little bit more point and shoot right now. Like, this track does offer a lot of sweeping stuff if you can take advantage of that. And I think right now we're probably on the safer side to take care of the tire for a little bit longer, doing more of a point and shoot, keeping the brakes underneath us. I told Chad if I got the car back here in 5th, but if I had 0 track limits, then I'd be happy. So I didn't get any track limits and we're 2nd, so I think we're in a good spot.
Mission accomplished. Thanks, Jensen. Thank you.
So we've got a car spun, and in fact has just at the end of that BDO pit lane report from Arjuna just got going again. It was Preston Brown in the Brian Herder Autosport Elantra, 10th position in the number 76 car, and I think it was at the final corner. No, it was turn 7, excuse me, on the downhill part. Just coming into the toe of the boot before it goes back up a hill. And Paul Holton is in the pit lane as Team TGM's Matt Plum takes out the number 46 Aston Martin Vantage in and out from the leads. Starting his 28th lap, Arjuna has caught hold of Paul.
I'm doing good. I'm standing by with a warm Paul Holton, defending race winners as well. That was a flying first stint from you.
You know, I hope it looked easier than it was. We're out there, we're saving fuel, and we've got a radio issue, so we get about 15 minutes with the radio, and then we lose the ability to talk. We can still hear pit lane, but we can't talk. So the trick is you got to power the radio down, power back on. There's not a lot of places to do that around here. So you're doing a lot of things. We're changing the traction control setting every lap, so it's a busy lap, especially when you've got the added stress of trying to fix your radio.
One thing I was asking some of the drivers pre-race was yesterday practice was cool. This is warm, and Jensen Olsman was just saying how greasy the track was feeling. Is that kind of the vibe you were getting to?
Yeah, it's greasy. It's just overall lower grip. I mean, you compensate for it with the tire pressures. Yeah, I mean, you just don't get the same lap time out of it. You back it down, it doesn't feel quite so greasy. It's just, you just got to go a little slower.
Thanks.
So the pits are open for GS. There'll be no pass around. No one needs one. And so who does this benefit?
I want to take a pause to answer that question.
Yeah, it's a fair
so
point
difficult.
because all the TCR cars, LP Montour is in 3rd position. He'd worked his way up into the top 12 anyway on raw pace. He hasn't taken his pit stop yet. This is perfect timing for all the TCRs. So all the TCRs will come in, and then we'll get a reset with the TCRs behind all of the GS cars. The leading car that hasn't stopped is Bob Michaelian in the 59 car. In fact, he might be scored as the leader next time around in the Ford Mustang of Core Motorsports. Who else hasn't stopped in GS? The CSM Porsche hasn't stopped, and here they come now. They are coming into the pit lane. Caio Chavez was actually the lead car that had made a stop, so let's see if they come in. CSM's back in again, so this is very interesting. The Freedom Finance Ford with Bob Michaelian then getting out of that car, and I mean, this is manna from heaven for them because they can go from here.
They can, yeah, and they're putting in Billy Johnson, one of the most successful drivers in the history of this Michelin Pilot Challenge Series, and a former Ford factory driver in the Ford GTE WEC program, so knows his way around a fast Ford. As pit stop as well for the 67 Porsche, came in 718 GT4 RS. That's the CSM Porsche, running a little bit further down the order in GS.
At IMSA Radio, if you want to get in touch with us, we'll just let these pit stops clear and give our BDO pit lane reporters a chance to grab some of the outgoing drivers. In fact, Diana's got somebody now.
I'm just here with the CSM car, the Zach Rich and Nikita, who just jumped out. They're just putting on the tyres, and it's Zach that's behind the wheel now. Nikita has just jumped out, so I will just grab him as he takes his helmet off. He's behind the pit wall, and there's a little problem with the front right. They're having a problem getting that off. They're working quite hard to do that. They have got the No, I've lost my driver, so I'm going to go and find him. I'll jump over the pit wall and get Nikita.
So the top 6 places now are held by TCR cars, but they'll come in next time around. Interested to see, Peter, that 1 or 2 of the cars that stopped just before the hour from GS have come back in again just to top off. I don't think they would have put any more fuel in. So CSM and Zach Veach, Mikey Taylor for Unitronic, Jan Halen for RS1, Chad McCumbee for McCumbee McAleer racing the pole-sitting car, Michael Cooper in the Ibiza Farm McLaren, Winward Racing, Daniel Morad and Stephen McAleer all coming in for a second stop. I would suggest they were closer on fuel than they wanted to tell our BDO pit lane reporters, and this will mean now they can go full rich to the end.
That does surprise me, I have to say. I thought they would have enough, but clearly not. They wouldn't come in for that splash otherwise. But yeah, full rich, that's what we want to see who's really got the pace for the run to the flag and to get the points in this LB Building Solutions 120 at Watkins Glen. They're all behind the Corvette pace car now, and so the TCR should be coming in for pit stops as well.
Well, Diana, true to her word, has chased drivers down the pit lane, and we can have a word with some of the outgoing drivers from that opening 1 hour.
Yes, with the CSM, and I'm with Nikita Lushkin, the number 16 car. Nikita, you've just jumped out of the car, and your photographer's a bit busy taking pictures of you, so we'll try and get your best side if that's all right. How was that stint?
It was honestly it was quite a challenging stint. The car was not how it was in qualifying. Unfortunately, we lost quite a bit of pace. So honestly, I was just hanging on to it and trying to give the car to Zach, and hopefully he can move it up higher.
Have you any idea why it was losing pace? What was obvious to you?
We made some changes. We're still trying to find pace overall as a group, but it's tough for me to say, to be honest. I definitely feel like maybe we were down on straight line compared to the cars at the start, but overall, yeah, not a lot I can say.
How physical is it behind the wheel? Because it's incredibly hot today. The temperatures have changed.
You know, I got this cool suit that I'm wearing this year, and oh my God, it's such a lifesaver. Because last year I was driving without one, and I was dying from how hot it was in the car. This thing is definitely a lifesaver, especially in the cars that you cannot run AC.
No, it's a tough one when it's this hot. When the car came in, I saw the officials talking to the team. Was there any issue on that pit stop?
I'm not sure. It looked pretty clean on my end, but I'm not sure what was the deal.
Nikita, thank you so much. Go and get yourself a drink.
Thank you very much.
Here's another driver who's done a cracking job in that opening stint. LP Montour was knocking on the door of the top 10 on pure race. Did get a race leading lap scored before the pits opened for TCR as well. He's out of the car now. Looked like just a couple of sticker Michelins on the front of that car, and Arjuna is talking to JP right now.
Just front
LP,
Michelin
sorry.
tires indeed, and he gets out of the car and grabs a bottle of water. How was that stint? Flying on track, but was it hot?
Yeah, we got a great car. Like, it made my job easy. MMG prepared a car, like, top notch. Was able to save fuel in the last 10 laps behind the GS car. It was great strategy, got lucky in traffic, so yeah. I also want to thank everyone back at the factory where they prepared the car, the boys and girls. They've done an amazing job. I'm very happy.
You guys were fast at Laguna the last time I was on pit lane as well. I saw there was a bit of consternation around the pit stop. What happened there? The stop itself looked good, but maybe a bit delayed leaving the lane?
Yeah, I couldn't tell. I was not watching it, but we got a great driver behind the wheel now, so I'm not worried we're going to get back to the front.
You say great driver behind the wheel. I always wonder what happens when you've had such a great first stint. How do you go and sit behind the data screens and watch and not get nervous?
Well, I believe in Carl Whitmer. I trust him 100%. He's a HRC factory driver, so he'll do his job.
LP Montour with a great opening stint here in the LP Building Solutions 120.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, very good down there in the pit lane. And welcome if you're just joining us whilst the Nürburgring 24 hours is under a red flag for they've lost power in parts of the circuit. Amazingly, hearing from our team there, everybody's still partying like mad out in the forest. They've got the generators going, and then just haven't got power and race control.
Just hope the beer's staying cold.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's get your priorities right at the Nürburgring. So if you are just joining us for that, we will let you know when that gets back underway. Halfway through this one, just over 55 minutes to go on a well-timed pit stop. The running order then, as we're getting ready to go back to a green flag. Pan Am Motorsport, Toyota GR Supra, Caio Chavez behind the wheel of the number 54. Then Matt Plum in second. This is behind the safety cars, so forget about any gaps at the minute. Aston Martin, number 46. Carbon in third, Jeff Westphal, 39 BMW. Then Porsche, that is the fourth different manufacturer, Jan Halen in fourth. And he's the first of the cars that have stopped twice. So a few more laps on his tyres, but definitely fueled full rich all to the end, as is the Mustang of Chad McCumbee, who's behind in the number 13. That car was the fastest in qualifying. Sixth is Turner Motorsport, now crewed by Francis Seldorf, that number 95 car. Then there are Artura McLaren GT4, Michael Cooper for Ibiza Farms in seventh. Robin Liddell inside the top 10 with 55 minutes to go. Oh, yes.
With the fastest lap of the race under his belt.
Very good spot.
And is topped up with fuel, so is one of those cars that has no concerns. Really, the Pan Am Motorsport car, which is at the front of the field, that's not a true representation because they pitted early and had a short pit stop, so they cannot get home unless we have the longest full course yellow ever. But in general, there's no way they can get home without having to come back into the pits. Matt Plum,
yes, good point.
That is the car that's the big question mark. The 46th TGM Aston Martin, which was leading, they've decided not to top up with fuel to get the track position. Can that Aston Martin V8 make it to the end with the fuel that they have in the tank? They will be hoping this full course yellow carries on as long as possible, because of course you're using way less fuel under full course yellow than you are, of course, under green flag conditions.
Yeah, he's only been out there for, well, he's been out there for 2 yellow laps in his, 4 or 5 lap stint already. Yeah, you're spot on with Caio Chavez. 13 laps under the wheels of that car since it was last in the pit lane. As we go back to green, the TCRs led by Ryan Eversley for the Audi of Precision Racing. In second, Tyler Gonzalez for VGRT, Victor Gonzalez Hyundai, then MMG, Carl Whitman, then Baker Racing, James Baker, then Jaden Conwright for the Audi, Brian Hurtis, Harry Gottsacker in sixth, and Eddie Gore in the Cupra Leon is in 7th position. They're all starting behind the GS cars as the Carbon machines head up the hill and over the top of the rise, but it is still the Pan Am Motorsport Toyota, the black car with the orange stripes. And it looks like Chad McCumbee was making manoeuvre there as well, defending the number 20, the number 95, Francis Seldorf, and Michael Cooper, one side of him in the Ibiza Farm Motorsport machine. Robert Liddell right there as well. So this is going to be a little bit elbows out for the first couple of laps here, Peter, because making up some time and some positions here, this is the easiest time to do it, and Matt Plum is with Caio Chavez for the lead.
Yeah, and he needs to get the track position here. Doesn't really want to get held up behind Caio Chavez. I wouldn't suggest. And right behind is the Jan Halen driven Porsche, who's got past the Carbon with Pelican Racing BMW. So Jan Halen on the charge here as they head down into the heel of the boot, as Chavez trying to defend the track position with all he's got, but it's going to be fairly futile because he's going to have to pit at some point, having to roll the dice early. Also, actually, he has to pit within the next 10 minutes because the driver time.
Yeah, because the
maximum is 120.
Yeah,
has
the
to do
incoming
40
driver
minutes.
has to do 40 minutes. Good spot.
Exactly. So
and time in the pit lane doesn't count, remember?
No. Yeah. So will need to come in the next 8 minutes or so. I would wager for Caio Chavez. So a proper Michelin Pilot Challenge dust up now in process, I would say.
How many times have we seen that? We'll keep an eye on the battles at the front of the field with just on 50 minutes to go. Felfo Neto is out of his car, and he's been stood up for us by Arjuna with this BDO pit lane report. Good first stint for him.
And after jumping out of the car, the number 7 Precision Racing LA machine now runs at the front of the field with Ryan Eversley. So Celso, you and I were just talking about the track conditions, the balance of the car that you wanted. How are you feeling now with 60 minutes in the books?
Yeah, it was a tough stint. The GS traffic really played a big role in the race, especially with the track being dirty. So when you go for a pass in the marbles, it really challenges it, especially at this track where you're braking super late. But it added a big element to the race. I lost my second place because of traffic, but I also gained it back. So it was a really interesting stint, very tough. Team executed well in the pit stop when we jumped Honda. So can't ask for more. Now it's up to Ryan to finish the job. Let's keep pushing.
I know you had gearbox troubles at Mid-Ohio, so it's nice to have a weekend where no problems have been rearing their head, knock on wood.
Yeah, for sure. The last few races, we've shown a lot of pace. Led in Sebring until an issue. Laguna Seca, we got a penalty when we were in second. And same thing in Mid-Ohio with the issue. So we had a lot of pace these past weekends. We just couldn't capitalize. And I think now it's time to do it.
Well, let's see how they do. Running up front with under an hour left to go.
Yeah, well under an hour now, just 48, 49 minutes. The man on the move at the moment is Jan Halen in the RS1 Championship, leading Porsche 718 GT4 RSCS. Made 2 for 1, up from 4th into 2nd position behind Chavez. Matt Plum just shuffled back, and Jeff Westphal as well in the car barn with Peregrine BMW. So it's Toyota, Porsche, Aston, BMW, Ford in the top. Don't make that BMW, Ford, Aston, as Matt Plum's been shuffled from 2nd all the way down to 5th as they go across the line.
He might have to think about the fuel now. That's
yes.
of course playing the fuel game, but it's kind of not, he's against it both ways. So those who topped up with fuel appear to have the better strategy. Effectively, Jan Halen sits in 2nd at the moment, but the car ahead has to come in the next few minutes. So it more or less, he leads the race on net terms, does the championship leading Porsche, the RS1 Porsche of Jan Halen, who's driving so well so far. Hasn't had a great deal of green flag laps to put down a hot lap time, but that doesn't matter. He's making his way to the front of the field in a hurry.
That track temperature up at 113 Fahrenheit, that's 45 Celsius, 27 Celsius in the air is 81 Fahrenheit. The Michelin's working hard. Final warning now for the number 19 car for track limits. That's Gregory Leafuge in the Stephen Cameron Racing Ford Mustang, the number 19 car. And that means, and also a warning for the 27 Stephen McAleer Auto Technic Racing. These drivers know exactly how far they can go, Peter. They will push it to the very edge until they're on their final warning, and then interestingly, they don't transgress again.
They don't do it again, yes, exactly. And using up those track limits is so important, particularly here at a circuit like Watkins Glen. When you watch the NASCAR Cup Series when it comes here, and they don't go in the boot, but a lot of the corners are the same on the other part of the circuit, and you look at how much of the road they're using to go quick when they can do that. Here we're a little bit tighter on the track limits, and yeah, it is easy to do because there is so much area on the exit, and if you give racing drivers the opportunity to get an advantage, they will try everything in at their power to be able to do that. So Jan Halen right on the case of Chao Chavez, who is going quickly at 156.355. The car won't have much fuel in it, which will make it lighter, whereas Halen's little Porsche is probably fairly full actually after that top up under the full course yellow. But within the next 5 minutes at the absolute most, Chao Chavez has to pit to hand over that Pan Am Toyota, because he will be then through the maximum driver time.
Keep an eye on Robin Liddell, 9th position. He's got Billy Johnson right behind him, and Robin, one of the drivers and teams that topped off the car so that he can go all the way at the end. Michael Cooper puts the McLaren's fastest lap of the race in last time around. We're lighting up the timing screens. Chavez, Jan Halen with their fastest lap and their car's fastest lap as well. Here is where the race is beginning to heat up. We might be 45 minutes from home right now, but Matt Plum can't stay with this because he just needs to do a little bit of saving, a tiny bit of fuel save. He's hoping for another yellow at some spot to bring him back into this, hanging on but he has dropped away just a little bit. He's hanging in there. You've got to say that. He's only 1.6 away from the lead and a third of a second or thereabouts from the top 4, so he's doing a good job there if he is doing that saving.
Yeah, another full course yellow would definitely play in favour, as Billy Johnson is making great moves up the field. He's got past the number 95 Team Turner Motorsport BMW of Francis Seldorf and moving forward. Meanwhile, Michael Cooper in the 44 Ibiza Farm McLaren trying to get past the number 46 Aston of Team TGM of Matt Plum, who's trying to make that fuel last. As in comes Chavez then. So Chavez in the pits in that Pan Am Toyota, so drops all the way down the GS order. So that strategical roll of the dice that they tried, it's not paid off. You know, this thing is, you can look the hero or you can look the, well, not so much of a hero. I was going to say another word there, but no, but you can you can, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and Chavez, it hasn't worked, unfortunately, there for Pan Am. So that puts Jan Halen into the lead of the race by a very slim margin from Jeff Westphal in the BMW, who's also got Chad McCumbee in the Mustang. 1, 2, 3, just you could throw a bed sheet over them at the moment. Three different manufacturers, 3 different drivers, all covered by a tiny amount of time.
Video pit lane report, here's Arjuna.
I've got Frank Depew, who's jumped out of the car and cooled down a little bit. How was that opening stint, and how are you watching on with all the strategy unfolding right now?
It was an interesting first stint. We had quite a bit of kind of argy-bargy at the beginning, and I actually got a poor start. So basically, I was in between second and third trying to figure out when it was going to go green, and I actually balked. And so that created some problems. I lost a couple positions there. But then, you know, we had a generally good stint out there. It was, I had contact on the first lap. I ended up losing the left side mirror. So I had to drive without a left side mirror through traffic, but otherwise it's all right. Now, Robin's dealing with it. He was just bitching on the radio. It's like, it'd be nice if I could see out of the left side mirror. So.
What was the balance of the car feeling like when you handed over midway?
When I handed it, I was having a tremendous amount of understeer. I was really difficult to get the front end for probably the last 30 minutes of my stint, which was really, you know, hurting corner entry, and, you know, you had to overslow to get the power, you know, but that was better than, you know, trying to overrun the corner and not get the power.
Does that mean track limits were a bit of fun for you as well? I know in the driver's briefing that was called out.
Yeah, and I'd like to see it on TV, because I really thought that I at least had my tires on the thing, but I got 2 calls, and then I had to, it slowed me way down in turn 10, because basically I couldn't get another track limit, and the car was understeering so bad that I just had to really lift and push it in there, and it was a little frustrating, but anyway, got through it without a penalty.
Thanks, and that was one thing, John, that was called out in the driver's briefing, race control, keeping an eye on track limits.
Yeah, of course, have to around here. There's a couple of places, exit turn 8 in particular, where you can take a bit of a liberty. Peter Snowden and Bruce Jones over on RS1 have managed to delay the restart at the Nürburgring Nordschleife until after the end of this race. It's about 45 minutes away. We've got 41 minutes of this race, so don't go anywhere. And let's have a word with Caio Chavez out of the car. Diana Binks finding out about the dice that they rolled and how it probably hasn't paid off. Di.
Caio, you've just had an opportunity to reflect on that stint. You were having quite a battle out there on track. What's your thoughts on that?
IMSA Michelin Pilot is a very tough category, so to battle with the TCR and the other cars I was struggling with that, but I found it the best way to overtake those cars. So I think I did a great job with the team. So it's a thing that we are getting better on this, because I'm new here. So I think already I am good on this. So we keep training, we keep battle, and yeah, let's focus and be positive for the rest of the race.
It's always important, isn't it, to take everything that you learn and keep moving and developing forward and pushing yourself at this early stage of your career.
Like I said, IMSA, it's a very tough race. You need to have like a lot of experience and endurance races, you need to overtake the back cars. You need to overtake the cars of your category. So you need to learn and to do and clear on this on track. So I think I did a great job, and the team is awesome too.
What have you learned about racing on this Watkins Glen circuit?
We didn't win on the first turn. We had 2 hours of race, so we keep battling and until the end of the race, and we need to save tires, brakes, and fuel. Everything is important.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much indeed to Kaya Chavez for speaking. And wise words there. You got to be in it to win it. Don't bet it at the first corner. Incident involving Harry Gottsacker and Chad Gilsinger for Hyundai and Honda under investigation at a few minutes ago. And final warning, another final warning, although a little closer to the end of the race now, also for track limits, and that is for the Victor Gonzalez Racing Elantra, John Miller and Lance Bergston in that car, as we are heading now in towards, in fact, under the last 40 minutes to go. So if you haven't changed your driver by now, you're going to be disqualified, basically.
You are, yep, and that has happened before.
It has.
Jan Halen is under a huge amount of pressure from Jeff Westphal in at the number 39 BMW for Carbahn. Then it's right behind Chad McCumbee. Then it's the next Carbahn car, which is running off the lead lap, which is right in the mix, sort of, not in the way, that's not fair, but is within the melee of the leading fight.
Yeah, I think that's about the top 7 or 8. Well, I certainly saw the Core Motorsport Mustang at the back of that line. Top 3 with a slight gap, but only a very slight gap as they're heading up to the inner loop with 38 minutes to go. Yeah, the Mustang is right on the end of that. That's all the way back to 8th position.
Ryan Eversley has just come into the pits in the Precision Racing Audi from the lead of TCR.
Oh.
That is not on schedule at all. So he was right. That is very, very odd indeed.
That is his second stop. It's not as if they've done anything weird.
No, that's not on. That's definitely not on schedule for Ryan Eversley. So perhaps Arjuna or Diana can find out what's going on with Precision Racing LA and their Audi, because that former leading car. What has happened to Ryan Eversley? He wasn't in the pits for very long. It looks like he was in the pit box for a handful of seconds. So, oh dear. That's such a shame for the number 7 crew. They were running so well at the very sharp end of TCR. I don't know if they had a penalty to serve or not. I don't think so.
I'm not seeing it. I'm going back before lit pit entries, but they were just warning. Diana Binks has tracked down the answer to that question. Di?
The answer is they didn't put enough fuel in the car, so that's why they've had to come back in. If they're hoping for a yellow or something to help them now that they've had to make that decision, they need to get enough fuel in the car.
Oh my goodness me. Well, Diana, thanks for asking the question, and fair play to Precision Racing LA for putting their hands up to that. That BDO pit lane report, absolutely heartbreaking for Ryan Eversley. And for the rest of the number 7 team, they have been right up there. Felthor Neto from Salvador, Brazil, starting off the Audi and doing a really good job early on. And it is the 1%ers. It is the 1%ers that you can't forget them. 1% good, excellent. 1% bad, ooh, really bad.
That's such a shame. Meanwhile, Eddie Go in the Go Racing Cupra is potentially not making no friends through the field. He's just gone past Tyler Gonzalez, but there's an incident under review at the moment between those two cars.
And the early one, by the way, between the Harry Gottsacker and who was the other car? It was Chad Gilsinger, wasn't it? Yes, it was, the Hart car. That's been reviewed. No further action. This line of cars is getting longer at the head of the field. Robin Liddell, Billy Johnson, Francis Seldorf for Turner's on the back of that. I reckon it's pretty much the top 10 now, line astern. Just a little gap has opened up behind Billy Johnson. Let's check in for some more news from the pit lane, and our BDO pit lane reporter Arjuna brings us this report.
I've headed down to the RVA Graphics Motorsports by Speed Syndicate crew and caught up with Luke Rumberg, handed over to Jaden Conroy, and with that pit stop for the Precision Racing LA number 7, you guys now sit in second, qualified in 6th, and I was talking to Jaden pre-race. I know practice didn't go entirely smoothly.
Yeah, that's correct. We had a rough practice this weekend, and we really got set on the back foot. And after that, we really didn't think we were going to have the car there for qualifying, and it turns out we had a good car for 6th place, and we got up to 2nd in the race, and the first set, it was an awesome drive and really fun out there, and we got a fast machine behind us. As long as we can keep it under us, I think we'll have a good car to fight for the win later.
It's a fast machine, but I know you didn't get to go racing at Mid-Ohio. I know there's some questions about the rest of the season as well. How good is it just to be back at the track and able to show how fast this car you got is?
Oh, it's always the best when you're sitting up front, and when you come to a track, there's no better feeling than being able to be in the front of the pack and show your true speed.
I'm feeling a bit of cloud cover. It's getting a little bit more windy. What's that going to do to the balance of the car? Were you asking for anything when you handed over to your teammate?
Yeah, I think right now that actually helped us. So we had a little bit of an understeer there, so I think with the cloud cover, maybe cool the track off a little bit, it'll help us out a little bit and give us a faster car there at the end.
Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. And this is really building up nicely now. Good battle in TCR as well. From James Vance down in 3rd, Eddie Go in the bright orange Cooper Leon VZ, TCR, and then Tyler Gonzalez. They are effectively battling over the left step of the box there, Peter.
They are, yeah. It's and no Hyundai on the podium after winning the first 4 races of the year. No Hyundai on the podium at the moment. The top Hyundai is the Tyler Gonzalez, Victor Gonzalez Racing Team car in 5th. And then it's the first of the Brian Harder Autosport cars. So not a good day at the office at all for Brian Harder Autosport, who have had probably one of the best starts of the season, even by their standards. Can't really get any better than winning all the races, can it?
No, indeed. And some of the team is over at the Nürburgring, where they're still under red flag conditions, so no need to tune back yet. Still 32 minutes here, and they won't be coming to a green flag at the Nürburgring after that power cut, a power outage that affected race control, and that is what's brought the 53rd running of the 24 hours of the Nürburgring to a halt. So welcome along if you are joining us for the conclusion of the LP Building Solutions 120 at the Glen. At the front of the field, Jan Halen in the RS1 Porsche leads out from Jeff Westall, is not giving him any respite at all, and Chad McCumbee is just half a second further back. Then it's Matt Plum, Michael Cooper, Daniel Morad, Robin Liddell and Billy Johnson, all pretty much line astern. Then only a couple of seconds back, the 2 BMWs from Turner Motorsport in the shape of Francis Seldorf and Patrick Gallagher as the drivers. And then to make up the top 12, it's Stephen McAleer and Robert McGuinness. That is 11 seconds to cover the top dozen cars. Carl Whitmer leads for the Honda Civic of MMG, the number 93 car. What a quick car that has been, although a 56.553 from the Audi of Baker Racing is now the fastest time in TCR. So it's MMG Honda, Audi from RVA Graphics, and then the 3rd place car is the Baker Racing car that is the fastest, then the Go Racing car, and then the horde of Hyundais. And that is a really interesting look at the moment as Eddie Go is defending against Tyler Gonzalez in the VGRT red and white number 99 Hyundai. Distinctively different, that Hyundai Elantra, from effectively the works cars in the N livery.
Yeah, they're running the like you say, the works racing colours for Hyundai Motorsport, which they run on their rally cars as well in the World Rally Championship. Have done for many years. Now, unfortunately, the number 7 machine of Ryan Eversley has been cut adrift from the battle, having been in the lead of the race for Precision Racing LA, and not enough fuel put in the car, and they had to come back down the lane. Now, you could also argue is that might have given them that track position.
Yes.
Maybe they rolled the dice by short filling the car, hoping there might be another yellow, and the fuel numbers just weren't working, and they had to come in and hope and try and roll the dice again rather than wait till later on. It might not have actually been an error in terms of negligence. It could have been just a strategical call that hasn't worked. But like you said, John, I think that's highly commendable that the Precision Racing LA crew were honest enough to tell our video pit lane reporters of what the situation was, because it certainly puzzled us here in the For Performance Global Broadcast Centre.
We've got to pick our Michelin moment of the race for each class here, and we've got half an hour to go. I'll put that to our BDO pit lane reporters as well. Might have been something that went on down there in the pit lane. Not always the winners, seldom in fact the winners that come out on top here, but both RS1 and MMG have done a pretty good job. I'm leaning towards Go Racing at the moment. Great driving by both of the Eddies Go, senior and junior, and holding on to by far their best position of the season so far, and that courtesy of some excellent driving earlier in the race.
I'm going to go with that too. I think, the Cooper Leon VZ TCR is a car that's had success in other TCR championships. It's a very successful car in the UK TCR Championship, actually. The Cooper Leon Competition, as it's known. I think so. For the Go Racing team, they ran an Audi in the past, switching to the Cupra, new car to get on top of, and to be running in a podium position right now. That would be also my Michelin moment of the race.
GS. I'll take that under advisement for the moment. Chad McCumbee charging back through. There's been a couple of good overtakes, including Jan Halen going from 4th to 2nd down at the first corner a little bit earlier on. That was very impressive indeed, and that has netted him the lead ultimately.
Yeah, power move to win to put himself in a leading position, but Westphal is really putting the heat on. The gap is only 0.2 of a second. It's really close at the front of the field. Oh, Liddell off on the grass.
That was coming out of the inner loop, but he's managed to keep it pointing in the right direction. Where we were just talking about RS1, that is the car that leads, with Jan Halen having made that super move earlier on to go from 4th to 2nd. He's upgraded that to the lead. Here's his teammate Luca Mars, and a BDO pit lane report with Arjuna.
They're all the way down at the end of the pit lane, and Luca Mars is intently watching the screen right now. Luca, it's very close. You can see some debris on track as 6/10 covers the top 3 cars. How's it going for the team?
It's going good. You know, we've had a fast car. You know, the cars behind us have been all over us. We've been doing a lot of defending. We've just been struggling with that bottom end, but Jan's hanging in there. He's really close on fuel, so we're hoping caution would make us get there, but right now Jan's just trying to save fuel and get us to the end while trying to hold him off, which is a very hard task, but you know, he's one of the best. He's doing a great job right now, so 27 minutes left. We'll see what happens.
You heard it. Another driver wondering about the fuel usage, John.
And that's interesting because they're topped off, so if they're in trouble, anybody who didn't top off, and Matt Plum, I'm looking at you in 4th position in the number 46, then they must be in big strife. Into the pit lane for the number 57, there's been an incident between that car and Robin Liddell, and that is Daniel Morad into the pit lane, and that was the incident that saw Robin Liddell on the grass at the inner loop, Peter.
Yeah, so they get together at the bus stop chicane. That is very quick through there, so any contact is going to potentially cause damage. I'm glad we don't have to do race control's job to make a call on these kind of things, but that is definitely their wheelhouse. But that puts that's good. Well, it puts both cars down the order as well. Yeah. Of course, with the 57 of Daniel Morad having to go in, and damage to the Aston Martin Vantage of Robin Liddell as well.
And a penalty for John Miller in the Victor Gonzalez Racing Elantra. He's an 11th in TCR. That's multiple track limits. I feel we'll see a few of those popping in up now. Flat tyre as well, we were hearing, for Robin Liddell. So he's done well to get that car in and out of the pit lane that quickly.
Well, I think the flat tyre is the 57, the Windward car. It's the Windward car that was in the pit.
Right.
Yeah. There's so the question is, can Liddell, does he have damage that he can survive the next 25 minutes or so with, or will he have to come into the pit lane? He will be very much hoping to try and survive and get some points on the board rather than having to pit at this stage, because still the windward car is in the pits. So it's that maybe there is more than just a damaged tyre there.
I'm just thinking as well that Frank Depew said that Aston was understeering in the heat with a big Jaws-like bite out of the right front part of the splitter. That's not going to help the cause for Robin Liddell. Dinah Binks is down at the Windward Racing pit, and she's watching what's going on with that number 57 AMG.
The car's been here for a few minutes now, John. On the front left, they're pulling out which looks like fencing, sort of. It's not string, but I don't know what they've got on the fencing. But they're pulling it out. It's obviously got trapped in around the wheel area because they've taken the wheel off and they've got the cutters out trying to cut it away. I don't know if it's sort of metal fencing or whether it's rope fencing, but it sort of looks a little bit metal. But they've been stuck here for some time. They're not actually getting that out. They've brought the tape out now to stick the front area back together again, but there's a lot of fencing debris on the pit apron at the moment, but the car is still static.
I think that's probably tyre cord with that puncture from the construction of the tyre. It's being caught around the front. In the meantime, whilst Di was giving us that update, we have a new second place driver.
We do. Chad McCumbee has moved up into second place in that McCumbee McAleer Ford Mustang GT4, getting past Jeff Westphal, who looked like he was threatening Jan Halen for the lead, and now he's going to have to try and get back. He's now on the back foot really now, but can McCumbee put the move on Jan Halen? We've seen the Ford be very, very quick. It was the pulsating car, of course, don't forget, and it has good grunt as well. That big V8 engine, very, very strong, but then the Porsche, of course, mid-engine, a little bit more diminutive, very nimble. This is what Michelin Pilot Challenge is all about. We've got 3 different manufacturers in the top 3 right now. Porsche from Ford, from BMW, totally different cars, all battling, I mean, really thousands of a second apart.
A little, and in the pit lane for John Miller, Victor Gonzalez Racing, that is the penalty that they have been assessed for multiple track limits.
Also the RVA Graphics 31 Audi too.
Oh yeah, that's out of a sharp end position, wasn't it?
Yes.
So that will push up at the front of the field. That's pushed Eddie Gould a second position. Arjuna is down at that end of the pit lane. What's going on with the RVA Audi, Arjuna?
Well, I've actually just seen the Victor Gonzalez Racing number 18. They may have come in for a penalty to be served, John, but they also were taking a look and working on the back of the car. So you called out a bit of damage potentially for the Gao Racing Cupra. I'm wondering if front to rear, there's a story to be told. 1 + 1 = 2.
Well, and that can't have been their penalty then if they worked on the car. I'm very interested to know what has happened to the RVA number 31 then, as that car is yet to reappear, and there is a bit of debris on the track as Chad McCumbee had wrestled his way through into second place. Eddie Gore and the Cupra Leon in second place. Incredible stuff.
But Montreal Motorsports Group now have a 10-second advantage at the front of the field, which in TCR that is huge, exactly. So they've just got to try and get it home now. Carl Whitmer doing the job. We heard in one of our BDO pit lane reports, Carl's teammate LP Montour was very much full trust of his teammate to get the job done, and they've clearly got a very fast race car here at Watkins Glen. Also a fast race car here is that McCumbee McAleer Racing Ford, which seems to be very raceable, made an outside move around the 39 BMW of Westphal to get up into second place. Is that going to give them the performance now to try and make a move on Jan Halen in the RS1 Porsche?
Stay with us here. We've got 21 minutes still to go. There will be no restart to the Nordschleife for 24 hours before the checkered flag. It is half an hour away. So pretty much exactly half an hour away, so you'll easily catch the end of this race. Diana has an update for us in the pit lane.
Yep, Winwood Racing, the number 57 Mercedes AMG GT4 that came in earlier on. That you're absolutely right, John. It was from the tyre. I thought it was hoarding or something when it first came in, but as I got closer, I could see. I did have a quick chat with Daniel Morad, who'd got out behind the wheel, but he wanted to go and chat to the team. He just said, look, it's an incident on track, and we're just really disappointed. We're in the pit lane now, so he didn't want to elaborate further on that, but clearly disappointed, chatting to the engineers now, but the car is static on the pit apron.
It's not going to improve Daniel Morad's mood to know that he's been assessed as having the responsibility there, and if that car does get going, it'll be a drive-through. Update from Arjuna, more cars with problems.
Yep, stopped by the number 31 RVA pit box where they are working on the front end of the car. Luke Rumberg says they have a fuel pressure issue right now, and I don't think they're going to be heading back onto track anytime soon, John.
Oh, that was a car that was right in the mix for a podium finish in TCR, and we're hearing from race control that the Winwood's AMG has been retired. So that car has been retired. Let's get back to the front of the field, Peter. Jan Halen, we have seen some outstanding defensive driving in the last couple of weekends that we have been watching racing. Certainly when we were at the 4-hour race at Mid-Ohio for this championship, when they were the headline act, if you will, the defensive driving was incredible, and I mean that in the best way. I'm not talking about blocking, I'm talking about just putting your car in the right place, and that's what Jan Halen's got to do for the next, 18 and a half, 19 minutes.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
Chad McCumbee took a 1/10 of a second out of the leading Porsche of Jan Halen on the previous lap, and taking another slither of time out in Sector 1, so he's right on the case there. A long train, and the thing is, it's not just McCumbee that Halen's got to worry about, because right behind McCumbee there's Jeff Westphal in the BMW. Matt Plum has done a great job to hang on to fourth. That he may well have to take a splash and dash. I don't know if he can get that Aston to the end.
Extremely close is what's going on the radio.
Yeah, I think so. Michael Cooper in the Ibiza Farm, McLaren right in the mix there too. So that full course yellow, the timing of it really bunched everything up, and I'm a big fan of the full course yellow system, because it just gives these fantastic sprints to the end.
Yeah, the top 8 has become the top 6 with Billy Johnson, the last car in the train. Then there's a 5-second gap. That after the coming together from Daniel Morad driving into Robin Liddell, driving Robin Liddell off the road is what race control have assessed it at. Robin Liddell still running round, but down in 10th position, and the Rebel Rock Racing car carrying a bit of damage on the right front, which won't be helping his front Michelins. Jan Halen still at the front of the field under immense pressure, but he's soaking it up like a sponge.
He is, and that's what he does. When he's been in this position so many times in his long established career, really made his career over here in the United States, since Jan Halen is very much, of course, this calls United States home, originally from Belgium.
Now in TCR, it's MMG leading from Go Racing. And then there was a couple of Audis in there and no Hyundais in sight, but Victor Gonzalez Racing and Tyler Gonzalez are closing down on it. Arjuna is gone down to the Cupra Leon pits.
The only one of the Cupras in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge field as well. I've got Lalo Go standing by with me. Lalo, second, the best performance I think of the season so far. How's the car feeling out there?
We're so excited to be up front. The car's feeling really good. I got off exactly at after driving for an hour, and the car felt really good. I think Eddie has a really good car to finish the race. Hopefully we can maintain the lap times we're doing right now, and keeps ourselves for a podium win, hopefully.
This TCR category is so unique and interesting. Obviously very similar engine characteristics, but you're the only one campaigning the Cupra. What's it like going up against the Audis and all of these other established TCR brands with a relatively new manufacturer to the class?
We have so much support from Cupra that it makes it for all of that, and being the only Cupra for Cupra, we're at spotlight, and they're putting all their efforts on us, and we're very grateful for all the support and help we're getting from the manufacturer.
I know that you guys missed Mid-Ohio. Are we hoping to see you for the rest of the season? No other races to be missed?
Yeah, the plan is to race the rest of the season and continue to learning about the car, learning more about the tracks at IMSA. We're completely amateur drivers, so we're just having fun, and we'll keep doing that.
Thanks, Lalo.
They're on for a fantastic result at the moment. Carbon with Peregrine asking Jeff Westphal to try and save however he can. They think they might be about a lap short. Meantime, the other side, it's a good news story for Ford Mustang and for Chad McCumbee in the pole-sitting car that he took over from Jensen Holtzman. They are feeling more comfortable. Thank you to Aaron, the voice of sanity in our ears, up in Concord, North Carolina, monitoring the radios as well for us as well. Porsche, Ford, BMW, and here comes the opportunity. No, still cannot get through into the inner loop, but Chad McCumbee, perhaps now released from having to save fuel, can have a dart here and a dart there, and he will have been told, in fact he'll know, as we've gone full course yellow, and this is for the number 72 car, which is going slowly at the moment. Oh, well, I was just about to say, they know that Jan Heelan's a championship contender, so this is the Pegram Racing, Riley and Larry. It'll be a short yellow. Pits will not open, but Jan Heelan's thinking championship as well as the race victory. Now, I said this, Peter, in commentary at the 4 hours at Middle last race out, and Jan Heelan pretty much barged his way through to get his position. So there's a balance to be had here, but there's an extremely competitive team. Now, this is great news for Jeff Westphal, Jeff's just been told by Carbon to say, yeah, you're fine now. It was at the inner loop, by the way, that the Pegram car went straight through. That car's been in the course today.
It has, yeah, it's been one of those days. Interestingly, the number 33, Brian Herder Autosports Hyundai, has come into the pits with Mark Wilkins on board. That is the car that's third in the championship that needed to get a result today to try and close down its two team cars in the championship points, but that's not going to be the case if they're pitting now back out again. May well have entered a closed pit too.
Well, yes, pits haven't opened.
Yeah, I wonder if they've got in before the full course yet. No, they've entered a closed pit. Oh dear.
Oh dear, 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 dear. So they're going to get a drive-through. They're going to be out of the points. Oh wait, everybody gets points, but they're going to be way
minimal
back.
points.
Yeah.
Yeah. The TCRs has turned on its head this weekend. Totally turned on its head. It's been a complete Hyundai domination up to now, and also a Brian Herder Autosport domination. In fact, the leading Hyundai now in third is Tyler Gonzalez in their Hyundai. Honda leading the way with Montreal Motorsport Group, and the Go Racing Cupra as well, a proper privateer effort. Doing a great job in second.
And Eddie now will be on the tail of Carl Whitmer on the restart. That's the good news. The bad news is he'll have Tyler Gonzalez, Nari Gadsacker, and Tim Lewis, and Chad Gilsinger, and Denny DePom on his tail as well. So that, I mean, now you might as well just throw a handful of numbers in the air and see how they fall on the table.
Well, for Brian Herder Autosport particularly, this is Christmas Day and their birthdays and everything else all come together at once, because they were, before the yellow came out, Harry Gottsacker was 12 seconds behind the next car. He was 25 seconds from the leader. Likewise, as you rightly say, John, the Go Racing team, they now get a chance to go for a win.
Yeah.
So can we start our Michelin moment of the race again? Because I think we're about to get them.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. You're absolutely right. Chad McCumbee in second will be right on the tail of Jan Heelan, but that's no change. The top six have been right together. It brings Turner Motorsports BMWs back into this. In 7th and 8th, Francis Eldorf and Stephen McAleer as well for Auto Technica and Rebel Rock Racing. Robin Liddell, I think, with a damaged car. It's a bit wounded. I'm not sure even Robin can do anything with that car, so will he have to defend against Patrick Gallagher? But basically, we've got 14 GS cars on the lead lap at the front of the field as the pace car lights are out.
Which means we're about to go racing for a 10-lap dash here at Watkins Glen. Does it get any better? 10-minute dash,
Yeah.
a lot less than 10 laps.
About 5 laps. It'll be about 5 or 6 laps, depending on how they get across the line. I'm not writing off Ibiza Farm Motorsport, Michael Cooper. We've seen that McLaren be very, very quick indeed, particularly on the restarts, funnily enough. So Jan Heylen has got to do it again, this time from the restart. Second place for the Mustang. Pole position car. It's got pace over a lap. It needs pace over 5 laps. And you need to have a decent performance differential. You talk about performance deltas, that's what you hear them talking about on the pit wall and on the radio. What's my performance delta when somebody's catching them? It's no good just being faster than, you have to be significantly faster than the car in front in order to make an overtaking manoeuvre. Stand by for green flag, 9:40 on the clock as they come through turn 11 now and onto the front straight. It's an early green flag and the Porsche accelerates away. It punches out the corners pretty well, that little Porsche, and Jan Heylen decides not to defend down into the first corner. Was that a wise move? Behind, there's 2 and 3 wide with the Turner BMWs getting involved in the scrap with Billy Johnson and Francis Seldorf were side by side as they, Francis Seldorf coming round outside of Billy Johnson. Don't think he's quite got it done, and I tell you what, Robin Liddell, I'm very sorry, I counted him out. He's trying his best whilst the cars are bunched up to try and make up some positions as they go on down towards the inner loop for the first time after the restart.
He never knows when he's beaten, does he? There's oh dear.
And that is the number 4 BMW, I think, that's gone around. I heard the screech of brakes, the Ibiza Farm 44. And that is the McLaren.
Michael Cooper and the Ibiza Farm McLaren, and that is not, from what I understand, not the 39 carbine car, which is fighting for position. The number 4 is a lap down, of course. Is Heylen having to go in the defensive now as he's got Chad McCumbee in that big blue Mustang right on his tail. This is for the race lead, and yes, indeed, the number 39 of Westfall still right in there. 1, 2, and 3 again. Yeah, it was the 4 car, which you rightly say is down the order. That was the carbon BMW that was involved there. Aaron Povaledo, and at the side of the circuit at the moment. Is it safe there? I don't think so. Jan Heylen will be on the radio going, that's not safe. Oh, he's almost got it behind the cut through. Stationary yellow there at the moment. Jan Heylen coming round. 7.5 to go as they come to the line. And into the pit lane for the Ibiza Farm McLaren. We'll keep an eye on that. There's our 2 BDO pit lane reporters splitting themselves between TCR, where MMG lead the race at the moment from Core Racing. And into the pit lane for that Ibiza Farm Motorsport McLaren. Oh my goodness me. And it's going to be Jan Heylen then who continues to lead. And the good news from race control, Peter, is that number 4 carbon BMW is out of harm's way. Now, what happened there? That was a lapped car, of course, that was in that scrabble at the front of the field. Yeah, just a real mix-up there. Just everyone trying to make their way through. And yeah, that's really frustrating for the Ibiza Farm McLaren team to collide with a lap car. It's just not what you want to see happen at all. That's such a pity for Michael Cooper and Moisey Uretsky, the winners at Daytona in the 4-hour BMW M Endurance Challenge. But it means then that Jan Heylen is leading the way, but only by half a second right now. And this is still going to be a dash for the points, isn't it? As we still haven't resolved this one. As I said, it's the MMG that is leading in TCR, and I do think that Jan Heylen is looking very, very strong indeed. He is, yeah, 0.4 of a second of a gap at the last timing point, and it's almost just nothing between them. Also, tell you what, Billy Johnson has entered the chat. He's that restart. He's played really, really well, and he's there in 4th place now in the number 59 machine for Core Motorsport.
And there is another car stopped at the bus stop, and it is Gregory Leofouge in the Stephen Cameron racing car. Quick update from Diana on the McLaren involved in that schmozzle down at the bus stop earlier on.
I'm with John Donovan, who is are you the engineer, John? Strategist to come down off the pit wall there just to have a chat with me. The McLaren is stationary on the pit apron, unfortunately. What was the feedback from the driver? We saw obviously there was an incident on track.
Yeah, there was a bunch of lap traffic or a lap car in there with a car coming in from the back, and they went 3 wide through the bus stop, and he got hit in the left rear. That's pretty much the end of our day.
How frustrating is that at this point? There's less than sort of 8 minutes to go, I think, now in the race.
It's really, really, really frustrating. The car's had pace all year, and other than the 2 races we didn't finish, I think 4th is our worst, so it's pretty tough.
Both drivers were really showing their pace.
Yeah, of course. I think we have, 6 more races to go? We'll see what else we got for the rest of the season.
John, thanks very much for chatting to us. Obviously, sorry about your disappointment at the end of that for the number 44 Ibiza Farm.
Thank you very much, Diana. Diana Binks down there in the pit lane, and in fact, the incident responsibility going Aaron Paveledo's way for Car Barn. That'll be of no succor at all to the guys involved. And with that, Gregory Leofouge car resuming and then not resuming. It rolled a little bit. I was just about to say, I think we're going to get away with it at turn 5. It moved, and then it's got stationary again. It's stopped again, and full course yellow with 3.5 to go, and that, I think, will be all she wrote. And Jan Halen will be able to cruise to the end of the race for RS1. Chad McCumbee in second for the Ford Mustang number 13, and Jeff Westphal in third. That's how it stands at the moment. So close. Actually, you know what? They're going to push that car behind the wall as quickly as possible. Might we get 1 lap? It will be amazing if we do. We could get 1 lap. Carl Whitmer for MMG leads Go Racing. What a result that would be. Nah, we're going to finish under yellow. It will be the white flag. So a victory lap for those in behind the safety car at the moment. Our Michelin moments of the race then. Well, I've got to go with Go Racing. I really have in TCR. They're not going to win it, but they're coming in second. And it's, in fairness, it's a bit of a misnomer because I don't think it's one moment. I think they've just had an absolutely cracking race, set up by a great qualifying, and they've taken their opportunity, Peter.
And they're a small privateer team that have beaten all of the Brian Hurd Autosport Hyundais who have dominated the season so far.
Yeah.
That alone is definitely worth Michelin moment of the race. Well done, Go Racing.
Yeah, to finish ahead of the Hyundais, that is Michelin moment of the race, absolutely. You would have thought if they'd beaten all of those guys who've been dominant this year, they probably would have won the race. But for MMG, and that's to take nothing away from Montreal Motorsport Group, but LP Montour and then Carl Whitmer, they had the pole-sitting car and they have converted, but Michelin moment of the race then, and a new set of tyres next time out for Go Racing in the number 55. Where does your Ford go in GS? We've got a bit of time to discuss it as they're on the slowdown lap effectively.
I think it's got to be the power move from Jan Halen.
Yeah.
When it was, you could have come out of the corner leading, or you could have come out the corner 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
That's been the story of the race in GS.
True.
And you have to be good in traffic. You have to be good in a melee like that and keep calm under pressure. Yeah, it's got to be that power move from Yanni. The RS1 Porsche, and of course, as you mentioned, balancing that, do we hang on to our championship lead, which is nearly 200 points coming into this? Actually, it's slightly over. It's 220 points coming into this, so he could have been maybe a little bit more cautious, but he wasn't. He went for it, and he's going to be rewarded with a win by the looks of things.
Well, he went in that move from 4th to 2nd, which upgraded to 1st, where he is now. In that same move, Matt Plum, who was 2nd, dropped down to 5th. So you're absolutely right. It could have gone several different ways. So our Michelin moment of the race in GS then to the number 28. So well done to Jan Halen. And that was a moment. That was a moment that he judged absolutely perfectly. Looks like McCumbee McNally Racing's Ford Mustang will have started on pole and finish in 2nd. with BMW in third, Ford Mustang in fourth, Aston Martin. Well, Matt Plum played the game of rolling the dice, and actually he's come away with a 5th position, because he and Stephen McAleer in the Auto Technic Racing are the only 2 cars in the top, 7 or 8 who only made the 1 pit stop in GS.
So has he got like he's rolled the dice, and has he got like a 4 and a 5? It's not a double 6.
No, he's not had a double 6.
No, maybe a 4 and a 5 or a 4 and a 4.
Yeah.
I think pretty good to get a top 5 from that, but not so good for second in the championship. Francis Seldorf going to come home in 14th in the 95 Turner car, which is second in the championship going in here. I don't think it will coming out, because McCumbee, McAleer, Ford, the number 13, who look like they're going to finish second, they will vault up the field. But RS1 Porsche, Jan Halen and Luca Mars, their championship advantage is looking rosier and rosier as the races pass by.
So let's just recap now our Michelin moment of the race, as the cars are on their final lap. And in TCR, the Cupra Leon VZ TCR Go Racing number 55 with their best finish of the season, and their moment of the race is being on the podium and finishing ahead of all of the Hyundais and all the Brian Herter Autosport. It's been a brilliant race, a great qualifying, and a great race for that number 55 car, and their moment of the race is coming home in second. Well done to them, faultless stuff. And at the front of the field, the power move is described by Peter Mackay when Jan Halen took an opportunity. Remember, there were 6 or 7 cars battling at the front of the field. He came to the corner in 4th position and took 2 cars, ended up in second. That's ended up, it's basically been upgraded to the lead and the win of the race for the championship leaders, who will increase their lead. So Michelin moment of the race in GS for Jan Halen for a stunning 2-for overtake when he had to balance the championship with the opportunity to make up positions, and he did that. That moment was a perfectly judged Michelin moment of the race for that overtake. So those 2 teams will be getting our congratulations and a new set of Michelin race tyres, courtesy of Michelin USA.
What a response from Montreal Motorsports Group with their Honda Civic FL5. It's been a car that's, like I say, has been a difficult package to get on top of for many teams around the world. Amazing job.
Well, let's stand by as they come across the line. There will be no changes. Our pit reporters are stationed at GS and at TCR as they will come across the line to see the checkered flag, and Jan Halen did his bit and some. Great start for those guys with the RS, the Rennsport 1 team, and the number 28 Porsche. Luca Mars once again starting the race. You can't say that they've done anything other than top work throughout the season. And the Montreal Motorsport Group, with that distressed livery on their Honda, will take TCR. As soon as we get the confirmation, we'll head down to the pit lane. Not sure which of our pit lane reporters is with which team, but we'll grab some atmosphere from down there. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to put your pit mics up, please. And here comes the leader, who will be transformed to the winner. I can hear some applause, and the checkered flag and the double yellows wave, and it is Jan Halen and Luca Mars that win it. Let's go down to the RS1 team for some of the celebrations down there with the BDO pit lane reporters.
I was standing with Luca Mars as that caution came out, and the relief was apparent. It's been a fantastic run in the championship, finishing no lower than 3rd place so far, and it is their 2nd win, coming after, of course, coming out on top at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Luca, a great victory, but having to hold on at the end there. Talk to me about watching your teammate battle all the way to the end.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be close on fuel, and that caution was what we needed to know we were good to the end. So that came out. Obviously, we were happy. And then I thought, from watching the race, I thought Jan could hold him off. From just seeing where the Mustang and BMW was fast, I have confidence in Jan's ability to hold anybody off. So then that last caution came out there from the lead with 5 minutes left, and pretty much secured it for us. So it's 5 podiums, 5 for 5 this year, another win. So extend the points championship lead. Can't ask for anything more than that. Just huge thanks to all the guys at RS1 and Porsche Motorsports for all the help they've done. They've been incredible all year, and of course to Jan also. He's been just absolutely killing it this whole year.
Congratulations on a great victory.
And I'm with the TCR winner, MMG LP. Montour is with me now. Many congratulations. How does that feel, and how satisfied are you with that result today for yourself and your teammate and the team?
Yeah, I can't be more happier. We led both practices, qualified on pole, led in the TCR, almost off the whole race. It can't be a better end of an amazing weekend.
You controlled it right from the very, very start. Was there ever a point, any time during the race, that you were a bit concerned about anything?
No, I kept the nose clean, made sure I gave my teammate a great car to fight until the end, which is what he just did. So pretty happy with it.
Congratulations. I'm sure you can't wait to get up to see him in victory lane.
Thank you.
Brilliant stuff. Unofficially then, pending the results of post-race scrutineering and technical inspection, it is the championship leaders who pull further away. But what a result for Michelin Racing, Chad McCumbee and Jensen Altman in that Ford in second place. Not quite converting the pole position there, Peter, but that'll do their championship aspirations no harm at all.
That'll put them up into second in the championship, and although RS1 pulling away a little bit, it gets them up where they want to, more closer where they want to be. And number 39, the Carbine crew, they'll have to settle for third. They'll be a little bit frustrated how that shaped out, but close one.
Yeah, but they will go ahead of the Ibiza Farm McLaren up into fifth position at the very least there in the championship. They might even go ahead of the Auto Technica BMW as well when we do the arithmetic. In TCR, LP Montour and Carl Whitmer win it. But what a result from Lalu and Edgar in the TCR. That is the first podium for Cupra in this championship. Honda, Cupra, Hyundai on the podium, and not a good day for the championship leaders.
And Audi could have potentially locked out the podium there, and all of a sudden it went to pieces in that last part of the race. I mean, you've got to feel for the number 7 Precision Racing LA crew of Chelsea Neto and Ryan Eversley up there at the front of the field, and had to come and top up for a few. Whether that was due to underfueling by mistake or whether it was a strategical call to get track position, we don't know. But unfortunately, they finished a little bit further down the order.
So the Watkins Glen 120 for the Michelin Pilot Challenge has come to an end. My thanks to our BDO pit lane reporters, Diana Binks and Arjuna Kankapati. Don't go too far away, especially if you're trackside here at the Glen, because we will set the grid for the Sealands 6 hours of the Glen in a little while, and we'll have that for you live in sound and vision when you're here in the US or further afield. No blocks, no breaks, all available for you on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. Curry was our engineer and producer in London, and Aaron was the voice of reason in our ears. A big thanks to all of our camera operators and technicians, both at the track and also in Concord. The celebrations for the 120-minute race here for Michelin Pilot Challenge are about to begin. For Peter Mackay, I'm John Hindhaugh. Thanks for being with us. We'll say goodbye for now from the Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre.